Mike's Daily Podcast.
I got up this morning for a sandwich and to come to work. What did you get up for? No, I'm at work.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I didn't make a sandwich. I made a smoothie, though, last night. Went to bed. And then, when you go to bed at 10, and you know you got to get up at 4, you know you're not going to have much sleep. That's like 6 hours, but then you don't get to... Wait, I didn't go to bed at 10. I went more... 11. That's why this is all jumbled up. Is I have...
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Oh. It's all coming back to me now. The grogginess.
Mike's
the happiness.
Daily
the Tuesdayness.
Podcast.
Here we are on a Tuesday.
Yeah!
So, the podcast picture today is going to be wonderful. I can't even tell you. So here's the show. The show of things that Mike Matthews heard on his way into work today. Live from Podcastro Valleyton, the last place on earth. On my way into work today, I heard all about contact tracing. Have you heard a bunch about that, contact tracing? And that apparently, in order for it to work successfully, you need a lot of people on the payroll. And of course, that's possible with nobody making any money, everybody out of work, all the money going to that. But you need a lot of people. That's all. It's okay. They're like, it doesn't work unless you have a lot of people doing it. So then basically you're saying we shouldn't even do contact tracing? And what exactly is contact tracing? Is it just, okay, so who were you around? You're sick now, sir. Who did you see, like, and you have to basically extrapolate everybody that they've ever seen. And they got to remember, oh, I did talk to Paul over the weekend. He had sniffles, so maybe it was him. It's basically all of us calling each other out.
And here's today's podcast picture.
That never ends well. All of us being paranoid. I think we should just stop with the whole contact tracing thing. Do it, but like, what? It's not going to save our bacon. Common sense is going to save our bacon in the end. And that's all I had to say. Speaking of bacon. Oh, and the podcast picture is from Santa Cruz. And I think I'm going to go. This is a lovely picture of the coastline. Somewhere there in the area. I think it's north of the pier. 8 years ago, I went there on a wonderful trip. Because 8 years ago, yeah, Basil. I was still married 8 years ago. Gosh. What a shock that is, isn't it, Basil? And we went down to Santa Cruz and enjoyed the day. That doesn't seem right, but I guess it was 8 years ago. We had a wonderful time. No, wait a minute. This might have been... This is old technology messing with me. Because I used an old phone... Not a phone. A camera. An actual camera. A digital camera. And I think the date was wrong on it. So this looks more like 2013. Now that stinks. Once upon a time when we had the pictures that Kodak used to publish for us in the little kiosk, they'd put the little date on the side, wouldn't they, sometimes? And before that, they wouldn't. They didn't do that then, and you just had to guess. And you'd have to write on the back of each of the pictures and go, I think this is from 88. But it was a fun trip, nevertheless, with Basil the Boxer, be it 8 years ago or 7 years ago. And you can see it at MikesDailyPodcast.com. You know what would be a giveaway is if I had accidentally taken a picture of someone's newspaper. And then I'd be like, that's what this date was. But that didn't happen. I do know, they had just finished, here's how I'm going to figure it out. They had just finished building the Monterey Bay Exploration Center. Because I had that, it had just opened in that general time frame. So, okay. And that's how we figure it out, everybody. Deduction. Isn't it fun? Tracing little bits of evidence, the puzzling evidence, trying to track it down and get to the nitty-gritty of life. What other things did Mike hear on his way into work today? Oh, so early. Because he decided to hire people that, oh yeah, I can do mornings, and then all of a sudden they can't. So Mike has to fill in for him. Making Mike very much unexpendable. And that was, let's see, somebody was talking about an old flu epidemic from way back. Oh yeah, back in something or rather, we was all sick and we used the leeches to get the sickness out of us. And it was a very fascinating hearing that. A couple states have reopened, or they're trying to anyway, but in the process, everybody's getting pushed, you know, you have to, okay, customers have to be this far apart, etc. Restaurants, it's not going to be a sit-down meal like we used to have. May not be for a while. California supposedly going to reopen at the end of May, is what I last heard. Kamala Harris did a press conference, virtual press conference. The whole Zoom virtual thing, I know that's what we have to do, but it so depresses me. This whole virtual thing. I gotta be there in person type thing. But then if I do that type thing, then I'm gonna be a sick type thing. And that's not gonna work for me. But yeah, I guess I gotta get used to this virtual world. Ugh, I never liked it. Even when we had the early days, the holodeck, as it were, of Star Trek Next Generation, we were like, yeah, that's going to happen someday. And we had big funky goggles we put on for the virtual reality. But that's something else, I guess. Okay. Cafe Okay. We are at Cafe Anyway. My lovely lady friend and I are celebrating our 2-year anniversary today. Yay! As we go outside of Cafe Anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley, Mont. 2 years. 2 years we have been an item. Wonderful, wonderful person. We're going to spend a wonderful day today, even though it did start off very early and I'm going to be tired for most or all of it. But yes, it's going to be wonderful. And cherish those people in your life that bring you happiness, that bring you, that bring you a sense of enjoyment and learning. So one of the things I learned from my lovely lady friend, because she often does this, is she goes and she searches on the web. She gets the Google feed, I think is what she says it is. Because Google will feed you all these stories, and she gets a lot of stories from the Yahoo, actually. And we do have our one sound effect today, because we haven't had any sound effects so far. I meant that facetiously. This whole show is sound effects, basically. But yes, so she told me the horrible, horrible story about how these farm people, farms and the meat industry as a whole is having to disperse with so much animals that they're never going to be eaten. They're just killing them off, and they're not getting eaten because there's no way to get them to, I don't know, there's a myriad of reasons. None of it makes sense to me. The wasting of animal, and then they even said, like, so just to upset also the vegetarians who already knew the whole animal food industry was ridiculous. Now there's also talk that, like, vegetables aren't making it to the marketplace, and that kind of food, vegetable food, veggies, not getting, and fruits. And it's like, no! Why are we wasting? This stupid disease is making us such a wasteful society. They couldn't come up with some other way. But like the head of Tyson was, oh yeah, we had to euthanize a bunch of chickens. Isn't that what you usually do? Oh, but then we won't be able to eat the chickens. They're just dead. I don't know. It was just terrible. It upset me in many ways. So much so I couldn't enjoy my hamburger. No, I didn't have one last night. I ate a fish last evening. I ate one of those sardines that comes out of the can because I heard it has good fats. I'm trying to trace the end of this show, actually. Let's try and end it. I'm sure I heard a bunch of other fascinating things on the way in here today. The antibodies that we were talking about recently, apparently that doesn't always help fight off coronavirus again, so you could catch coronavirus again. That's something else I'm hearing. So just be healthy, everybody, because you might be having trouble breathing. I would definitely quit the smoking, quit the pot, quit anything that's compromising your lungs, because you're really going to need your lungs. There's going to be some tough times. So just be kind to your lungs. You'll miss them when they're gone. Look who's out here.
Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. What an interesting show today.
Yeah, it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Is the gift shop still closed?
Yes, because I live in California and we don't reopen anything, Mike Matthews.
That's right. We're never going to ever open anything again. And just will live in the ground. It'll be great. Look who else is here. Oh, Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman! And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike Matthews is Kamala Harris going to be Joe Biden's vice president? That's an interesting question. I know, I thought I would stump the band today, Mike Matthews. You did, you stumped the band. Thank you for stumping it. Stump Coffee, by the way. It's pretty good. I think that's out of Oregon, Portland. But I think that's the end of the show. But I think the wonderful John Deere, the engineer, leaves us with a question that maybe we cared about or didn't care about. Once upon a time we cared about because there was an election and we were like, woo, but then other things took over, didn't they? And that's the end of this particular podcast. Next podcast, it will be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. Thank you so much for listening to FFF 2023. Thank you.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!